Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today, checking out my final two beers I have left from my Mahrs Bräu haul that I got at Erling's Flaschenbutik here in Aalborg locally. They got Mahrs Bräu. It was really cheap. I was down there in a heartbeat to get fresh bottles of awesome Franconian lager beer from Bamberg, one of my favorite beer cities in the world. I go into a little bit more about the brewery in the previous video I did of the Helles and the Pils, so go look at that if you want more info. It's a cool old school brewery. I've been to the pub and brewery, and you know, it's just really awesome to sit and drink the beer fresh there. They do sometimes do their beers with a bit of a modern twist, which is really cool. So yeah, check that video out. Those videos. I have another review. Actually, I've reviewed this before, so technically it's a bit of a throwback, but with a new beer. But yeah, let's get into the beers. We're checking out their Mahrs Bräu Ungespundet Kellerbier and their Mahrs Bräu E.T.A Dunkles Lager. So a Kellerbier, what you'd call an amber Kellerbier. Kellerbier usually falls in either amber or light in color, and this is, as you see, amber. And then we got a Dunkel Lager. Dunkel Lager is not exactly my favorite style, but some of the well-brewed ones can be quite good. This was made for the 200th anniversary of the brewery. It says it was made originally in 2008, and then because of popularity, they kept on brewing it. It was originally called 200-year E.T.A Hoffmann. I'm not entirely sure on the history on that. I'm guessing it has to do with one of the owners or founders of the brewery, something like that. But yeah, it's brewed according to one of the old brewing recipes, or beer recipes for Dunkellager they had in the brewery. But ABV was very famous. It's ungespundet, meaning that during fermentation, it's without the Spundapparat, as it's called in German, the little pressure lock. It's not screwed in, so you don't have pressure on the tank. It's fermenting without pressure, so you get a slightly different character on your beer. It's not as clean as you say when you talk about lagers. But I think we should start out with AU. I've had it, again, I've had it plenty of times on tap in Bamberg. I've been to Bamberg many times. I've also reviewed it in the bottle, but I think the bottle review I did of a bottled beer, I think like 4 years ago, I don't think it was totally fair, because it was not as fresh as this. This is around a month or so. Dead fresh, which is awesome. So yeah, AU Ungespundet, hop with Perle hops. That's about all the info here. You know, they also use a bit darker malts, probably something like a Munich, to get the color here. But yeah, looking forward to diving into an AU. So yeah, it looks, you know, nice and copper, kind of slight amber color, white head. It's very clear, but I think usually, yeah, there's a bit of sediment on the bottle, in the bottom of the bottle. Usually AU is slightly unfiltered, so you do get a little bit of a hazy look to it, but not in this glass. Because there's still stuff in the bottle. Well, let's check out the aroma on this. Oh yeah, really bready. Really, really bready. Usually I prefer I like both amber Kellerbiers and the more pale Kellerbiers, but I love them when they're more hop-centric too. But one of the things you get with Kellerbiers, often you get like lager esters, and lager yeast also produce esters, just like ale yeast, but they're much more soft. And esters are fruit flavors, and I'm picking up one of them right away, which I often associate with lagers. It's like a slight soft pear vibe, but it's really soft. Don't think ales. Don't think, you know, crazy New England juicy fruit bubblegum train. It's nothing like that. It's much more soft. It's soft complexities, which is what you get in these kind of beers. But yeah, very distinct, like biscuity, like crusty biscuity aroma. Also like toasty breadiness, like really freshly toasted bread. Like these beers, when you drink them fresh, they shine so much more. I think, you know, when people are talking about around 4 weeks is the peak for IPAs, I think lagers, maybe not 4 weeks, they can definitely last longer, but the fresher you drink them, they just have more of those characters, just even brighter, that you associate with these kind of beer styles. Some of the best, you know, if you're ever visiting a brewery, getting straight from the tank lager beer that's just done lagering. It's amazing. But it smells really good. Peppery, really peppery, slightly floral, but its Perle is very known for its unique or very forward pepper quality, like black pepper and white pepper. But yeah, very nice smelling. Like it has that also like biscuity, I think it's Munich malt. Let's try it, guys. Cheers. Ah, that's good. Nice high carbonation. Oddly surprising high carbonation for a Kellerbier that's fermented without pressure. You know, they'll carbonate it after fermentation and whatnot, but really nice high carbonation. And I think this is one of the things a lot of craft lagers like. They lack the higher carbonation and the snap. And you get the snap from the carbonation, the dryness, and also bitterness. This has all of that. It's only got like 4 stars in bitterness out of, looks like 10. It's got a nice bitter snap to it. More so than the lager I just had from, or just snap, maybe not bitterness, but just more of a snap. Maybe the same bitterness as the Bitterblumen I just had from Slow Burn, which is quite interesting because this is a Kellerbier that's usually just a bit lighter and more malty, but this is really good. It's just like benchmark classic style. It's almost like the Fuller's of lager, really, Franconian lager. Fuller's is also like really benchmark classic English beer, but they're not like wow, they're not like the Samuel Smith, like wow, this is really awesome classic beer in terms of British styles. They're like, it kind of reminds me of Fuller's in that way. Whereas if you compare, you know, Sentner or Genstiller, I think they're kind of the Samuel Smiths of these classic styles in Germany, if you kind of get that reference and comparison. But yeah, very nicely bready, very toasty, like freshly toasted bread. And again, a lightly darker bread, kind of like a hazelnut bread or like just a darker bread roll of sorts. Almost like some of those, like at the hotels or restaurants slash Brauereigasthöfe, the brewery hotels down in Bamberg, you get a lot of bread rolls for breakfast, and some of those are like a little bit darker. It's almost like something like that, and boatloads of it with like loads of pepper and loads of white pepper and loads of black pepper. Like it's really spicy. It really shows that intense spice of Perne with some grassiness underneath as well, and just a hint of citrus. You know, that's the big difference with that and the slope. Like this just snaps so nice. I think 86 was really harsh, but it was also an older bottle. But yeah, that's really nice. So let's move on to the E.T.A, the Dunkle Lager or Dunkel Lager. Hallertau Perle in here as well, and also Select. So this will be fun to try. I forgot to mention ABV. They're 5.2 and 5%. I haven't had this one before, so it'll be fun to try. It pours a very nice nutty reddish brown in the glass. Look at that. Again, super clear. I mean, I can see my fingers through this. It looks very nice, and a very nice, slightly tan looking base head. See if we can swirl some up here because there's so many beer glasses in the way. We'll do it like this. There we go. Now I can swirl and smell it. Let's check out the aroma. Yeah, it's much more of like a really deep, kind of nutty, caramelly, toasty aroma. It definitely has hops to it. There's definitely like a peppery, floral thing. But man, it's like really nutty and really like dark and bready, like almost like a hint of a brown sugar or something. Just like a brown sugary sweetness. But it's like I don't want to, it's not really like rye bread because it's not spicy or, you know, it's just like a really like hefty dark brown bread on the aroma with the, yeah, like the nuttiness and then a bit of caramel and toffee. It smells nice though. It smells quite nice. Let's check it out, guys. Cheers. Wow. The mouthfeel. Now that's 5%. Totally different, like carbonation and everything. This is, again, it's like a bit hissy and fizzy and like intense. This is uber soft and slick. Very velvety. But it also just reminds me why this is not my favorite style. It's definitely well brewed for what it is, but like it's just like these really dark, bready, sweet caramel, like toffee and whatever, you know. If I want these kind of flavors, like usually dark flavors, I want them more full on and more like. So usually, you know, if we're talking a beer like this, I'd rather drink a Doppelbock because it has that. If we're talking, usually I don't like stouts. For them to be really nice, they have to, like, for me to really enjoy the flavor profiles, it has to be around like the 7% or 8% territory if they're lighter. But that's not light. That's like going into imperial stout. That's why I usually like with stouts. I get imperial stouts because I love imperial stouts and often share them. It's just, yeah, I just don't like the profiles that these kind of beers have as much as others. It's not like I'm ever going to say no to it. And I'll definitely, if I go to bars, I always try to check out different, like, new things if I can. So, like, even though it's not my favorite style, once in a while I'll be like, yeah, well, let's go for a Dunkel Lager because I never drink it. And, I can see the appeal for sure, but it's just never going to be my 100% favorite style. Really loving the slickness and silkiness of it, though. Very nutty. It's kind of like lightly hazelnutty, almost like caramelized hazelnutty flavors. And then like that huge whiff of freshly baked, like brown bread or dark bread. It has like a little bit more of a doughy breadiness, this one as well, compared to the other Mahrs Bräus. And then, yeah, really impressive mouthfeel and velvety, luxurious feel in the mouth for such a lower strength beer. Lower strength, I guess standard strength. So it's really impressive that they got that kind of mouthfeel out of it, because usually that's hard with these kind of beers when they're that low in ABV. Again, a bit of hop character, mainly a big peppery spice, just like an AU. But yeah, it's nice. Both of these are really nice. But yeah, the easy winner for me is AU, and this is probably my favorite Mahrs Bräu beer of the ones I tried. I think it's just a really nice, really well-made Kellerbier. It's like benchmark example of the style, especially of the amber kinds. But I've definitely had, as I said, like there's others I prefer in this style. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go straight 90 on this one. It's really good. Maybe a 91, 92-ish max. It's around that territory. I think I'll give it a 4 on Untapped. Again, I think there's Kellerbiers I like more than this, but I love the snap of it, like the nice hop character and the snappiness. This is what I want in lagers. That's why I prefer the lighter, more hoppy lagers, because I love that snap, just like in IPAs, especially West Coast IPAs. But this is also really nice. I mean, for the style, it's also benchmark. Like basically all of the Mahrs Bräu is like dead on style wise. If you want to check out the styles, they're really nice to check out, but there are brewers that do these better. One brewery actually I'm thinking of that could be really fun to revisit, which I haven't had in a long time, is Ainga. I also remember them being like one of the like really benchmark classic German brewers down in Bavaria, and I've reviewed a good handful of their stuff. Maybe we should try and see if we can get some. That could be fun. I just remember them being crazy good as well, and I think they do a Kellerbier also. But yeah, this year the Dunkel. Yeah, it's also nice, but if it's a lager and around this ABV and this color, if it was smoky, if it was a Rauchbier, I'd be all over it. But when it's a Dunkel, it's kind of like, as I said, the brown ale of lagers for me, and it's not my favorite style, but it's definitely been growing on me the more I've been drinking them. And once in a while, we'll pick it up and try it, but it's never something I'm going to be like, whoa, yeah, let's get some Dunkel. But it's again, it's done as supposed to. So this is like an 88, 89, something like that. Just very well made Dunkel Lager. If you're into Dunkel Lagers, you're going to give this a higher grade. But yeah, I like it. It's good. So if you guys had a chance to try either of these, the E.T.A or the AU from Mahrs Bräu, check them out. Or if you haven't and you're in Aalborg, go to Erling's Flask, which you can get some. Or if you're in Germany, get some as well. I think you can get it fairly easily on web shops. I think even Brewed once in a while has their stuff. But great classic brewery in Bamberg, and again, like dead on all the classic German styles. So if you want to see them when they're nailed, a lot of these classic Franconian takes on these styles, this is a brewery that's great to check out. So if you guys had a chance to try either of these two, let me know what you thought of them. As always, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page and Twitter and Instagram. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers and some delicious Kellerbier, and see you guys in another video.